Good evening and welcome to the February 3rd meeting of the East Point City Council. Happy Black History Month. While our history is definitely 365 days a year, all day, every day, February is the time where we pause, shine the spotlight, and celebrate and honor the contributions, sacrifices, and history of Black Americans and African Americans in this country, to our county, to our city, to our state, and to the world. So I encourage you to join in as many Black History Month celebrations as you can this month. And in this city, we will continue to celebrate our diversity, and we will celebrate Pride Month and Hispanic Heritage Month and Asian American Month, and continue to celebrate all of our diversity throughout the year, but the months that are nationally recognized to spotlight specific demographics or specific ethnicities, we will join in those as we have done for many years. So, Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Shropshire, Councilmember Freely, Councilmember Atkins,
Present.
Councilmember Ziegler, Councilmember Cummings, Councilmember Mitchell, Councilmember Butler, Councilmember Martin Rogers. Mayor Holiday Ingram, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Tonight we will have our invocation by Pastor Jamie Vernon of Tri-Cities Church, followed by the pledge to the flag. Please stand and remain standing.
Our eternal and gracious God, we pause in this moment to acknowledge your presence and seek your wisdom. We give thanks for this city and for those who serve its people. And as they gather to deliberate and lead, and we pray that you'll grant them discernment, compassion, and courage to pursue justice and equity for all. In this month of Black History, we honor the legacy of those who have fought for freedom, dignity, and righteousness. We're reminded of the words of Dr. Howard Thurman, who prayed, "Open unto me light for my darkness. Open unto me courage for my fear. Open unto me wisdom for my confusion. Open unto me peace for my turmoil." Lord, we pray that you'll open our hearts to one another, that we may serve with integrity and love. Let the work of this council reflect the hope of a future where all people are valued and where justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Bless this meeting, bless this city, and may your will be done among us. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Vernon. Our Sergeant at Arms this evening is Captain Robinson. Thank you so much for your service this evening. We will move into presentations and announcements and start first with the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Empowerment Human Services update. Ms. Jessie.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. It is our pleasure to bring to you an update from one of our the city's newest initiatives within the Office of Equity, and Yolanda Johnson will come up and provide you an update.
Thank you, Tessie. Thank you, Interim City Manager, Ms. Jessie. And again, thank you, Mayor, as always, to serve this city. Thank you, Council, for the support. I just want to start off by giving you all an overview, just kind of high-level overview of what we've been doing in the office on the human services side. As always, we got to have a vision. If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there, right? So our vision for the office is to empower families and individuals with resources in hopes of aiding them to live the life they want to live. Our mission, you'll notice that Empowered by Getting Ahead framework, you'll see that a whole lot. That's an initiative that we launched back in November. That's where we framed our work based off of the data that we've developed over these last few years. The mission to the Empowered by Getting Ahead framework is to help enhance the lives of low to moderate income individuals and families by collaborating with internal and external partners to provide services needed to achieve the life they dream to live. This is just an overview of our census report for the city. In 2022, East Point had a population of 38.1 thousand people with a median age of 34 and median household income of $59,602. Between 2021 and 2022, the population grew from 37,895 to 38,113, which was a 0.575% increase. And its median household income grew from 50,000 to 59,000, which was an 18.3% increase. The estimate household mortgage is $1,285. The estimate household rent is $1,700, and the persons in poverty, 19.8. And I want to take a moment just to even highlight the poverty area. Through some research, I did find that East Point, probably about 8-9 years ago, maybe 10, the poverty level was at 28%. It began to decrease. When I got here, I remember seeing 23%. And then as I've been here, it's decreased to 19.8%, which is amazing from my point of view. The staff. We have staff now. I think we've known it to be pretty much a one-man band for a little while. We finally were able to get a staff to where we needed to be based on data and information that we've collected. Since 2021, we've been able to kind of branch out what we needed to do in the office. So we have a community social services manager, which is myself. We have a community liaison, which is Shannon Armstrong. I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with her. And then we have the housing component, which they focus on the housing policies and home ownership development. We have a housing community development manager, which is Frank Whitfield, and we also have a program analyst that we just hired. So I think she started on Monday. But it's a clear distinction between the two of the managers, which myself, we focus on the social services, high-level social services, support coaching, which a lot of you are familiar with case management. I don't like that terminology. Things have changed. I think we need to change in social services. So we're not case managing anyone. People are capable of managing themselves. We're supporting them. So in our community resources, we focus highly on that, making sure that we have the resources needed here in the community. We focus on homeless intervention and prevention, crisis intervention and prevention. Those are some important aspects that we focus on in the human services side of this department. Here are some of our goals. I won't read them all to you, but you can kind of see them. I'll highlight some of them. These goals were pretty much based off of what we had been analyzing for the last 3 years, just based off the comprehensive plan, based off the vision that the mayor has for the city, based off some of the input that you guys have given us. This is what we came up with. Closing critical service gaps for vulnerable and underserved members of the East Point community. I really don't like underserved either, because I feel like we have a lot of resources. We've worked really hard to get a lot of resources here in the city. So improve health and wellness outcome by addressing these social detriments of health that challenge the East Point community, and so on. You'll just see advocating and providing leadership for improved efficiencies and effectiveness for human services. The human services system, both sub-regionally and regionally, which is, we're everywhere, just making sure that we're connecting the dots. And we work heavily collaborating with our internal partner, which is the police department. We work quite a bit with them, receiving calls from them after hours, during hours. We work heavily and fluently with our police department. Just to give you some overview of what type of education we have here in this, on the human services side. I am a certified Bridges Out of Poverty trainer. I am also, myself and Shannon, we are mental health first aiders. We're certified in that. I am a certified crisis intervention trainer coordinator. I'm a certified community health worker, and between the both of us, we have 40-plus years in social services. So I'm just kind of laying out a framework here, just laying out some of the things that we've collected over the years. This is the data, the income, and I'm going somewhere with the income. That's the reason why I started this out first, because this income is basically laying out our framework for the work that we have in the office. As you can see, a lot of our families that come through our office are way below the poverty level. This is the federal poverty level, the guideline. I put here the 2023 income numbers and the 2024, so you can see the difference. I don't have a lot of data in our 2025 because 2025 just got here, so we're focusing heavily on 2023 and 2024. One person can only bring in a household income of $15,060 in order to receive services from the government. A family of two can only have $20,000, so on and so forth. I'm sure some of us can attest to spending quite a bit of that kind of money, maybe within a couple months or so. Here I use the source, Economic Policy Institute source. The monthly cost for one adult with no children, and the reason why I'm highlighting the one adult and no children, because we do service our senior population, and a lot of them are just individuals. But we see through the Economic Policy Institute chart with the calculation, you just put Fulton County in or whatever county you're trying to calculate what you need, you would approximately need to have an annual household income of $55,000 for an individual, and for two adults with no children, $71,384. Again, if you just keep in mind the income that we watched before we came to this slide, what an individual would have to make in order to receive services from the government. Here is with one adult and three children. Our mass majority of our families we serve are single parent families with 3 or more kids, and the annual income here is $124,681. 2 adults and 3 children, $133,008. Now let's look at some data from our city, just based on, just keep the things that I just showed you in mind and just look at some of the data that we received. In our city in 2022, we conducted a community needs assessment. And as we can see from our community needs assessment, that a mass majority of the population requested financial literacy. And then we have utility assistance. When I look back and tried to dissect some of the data, the mass majority of financial literacy came from that population of 34 to 45, and our seniors, 65 plus, was utility assistance. This was our age brackets that filled out the survey. We have big numbers in 35 to 44, and I think the median age for East Point is like 34.7. And then we had a large group of our 65 plus percentage of residents. Here is our education level. I was not surprised because I run across a lot of smart residents here. This did not surprise me one bit. The vast majority of the surveyors have bachelor degrees, master degrees, and some college. And here is the income. This is where the income was for the survey. A lot of people were in the 30,000 up to 49,999. So based off of that data that I just showed you, we started strategizing to put some things in place and how we wanted to address some of the things that was causing poverty in the city. So we wanted to take a look at supporting and strengthening families so that they can thrive while living and working in East Point. So how do we do that? We'll show some things in a minute. engaging families and other stakeholders in family-centered community building, increasing the impact of city resources through improved internal collaboration, developing a funding model for East Point Human Services that provides supportive services for families' long-term and short-term goals. We focus heavily on long-term and short-term goals with our residents here, and advocating and providing leadership for improved efficiencies and effectiveness of the human services on both sub-regional and regionally. Right here is where we get into the framework that we're doing. On November 7th, we launched the Empowered by Getting Ahead framework. This is the framework that we put together. We use the data that I just previously showed you to create a framework to help support some of the needs that we have that we've encountered through our residents, whether it's the community needs assessment, whether it's the clients coming into the office needing supportive services. But this is what we launched on November 7th. It was a great success. People are actually still talking about it today. We worked hard on thinking about how we wanted to lay this framework and put it together. These are just some of our pictures of some people that came out to support us. It was a really big thing. It was really good. I was proud of it. Here, just to talk about the pilot framework, it's a duration. What we did a collaboration with the African American Mayor Association, the National Center for Family Learning, and we used some of the funding that we have in-house to kind of help undergird this framework. We're doing a pilot program right now, which started in November. It ends in March. So that's the duration of this framework. We took 25 families. We ended up, we're almost done. This framework will end in March. About maybe 5 or 6 of our families kind of fell off just by their own choice. We just gave them an exit letter. One thing you'll learn about this office, we document thoroughly. There's absolutely nothing you won't be able to ask for that we can't provide. We document. So people, when they come in, they get an entrance letter. When they leave, they get an exit letter. So we were able to provide them with that entrance and exit when they decided that they wanted to do something different, which is fine. We still support them in the way that we can. They came in having to complete an application to become a part of this cohort. This is a pilot. This is our pilot program that we wanted to do. We assigned them a support coach. The support coaches consisted of myself, Shannon, and we're working with Building Change LLC. We work with them too to provide some support coaching. And I'm talking about social services. When you're talking about social services, I think a lot of our evolving doors come when we don't have the support that we need. So I've identified that on the front end to make sure that we have that support. So we all just took a team of people. We divided the residents up, and these are our people, our partners is what we call them. These are our partners because we want people to feel empowered. It's not about you being a case that we got to manage. We're supporting you, and we're in a partnership to make sure that we do transactions so that we can see transformation. So that's what we're looking for. Some of the courses that we have, we're actually hosting right now, that may be where Shannon is if she's not already behind me. We're facilitating a civic session right now. It's from 6:30 to 8 o'clock, giving basic 101 about civics. Just enlighten the people about council meetings, enlighten them about how to get connected with your state and local government. We have money management and budgeting. I think we're going into our fifth money management. All of these classes, we're probably getting ready to go into the 5th one. Some you'll see up here that's gonna be new because when we start the next cohort, we're gonna have a parent support session. We're gonna have self-care session, but most of them, we've already been doing them. We was talking to the lady that's helping us do the data, put the data together. She was just surprised that we've done so many classes. But when you ask me to do something, I'm jumping in head first, so we're gonna get it done. But workforce development, we'll have that next Monday. We actually host our workforce development sessions right here from 9 to 12. I think we'll be going into our 4th one. We have a good group of people that show up. Most of our classes, we don't have less than 20 people in our classes. Workforce development, probably a little less because most of our people are working, so we probably have 10 or more. But for the most part, we have a good cohort of people that come in. We're talking about how we're gonna measure what we're doing. All of the people that's in our Empowered by Getting Ahead framework, the pilot program, this is what we're measuring, because when you start getting people connected to jobs, they're making more money, the system get pulled from under them quickly. So we have to prepare them for that. So it's gonna happen, because the jobs that we're leading our clients to, they're not gonna be making $20,000 a year. We're just not pointing them in that direction. So we are pointing them in a direction where they are making livable wages, so they're gonna exceed the 200 mark, 200% of the federal poverty guideline. We're gonna make sure that they understand how to get connected to resources and stay connected so that they can prevent future crises for them. Household budgets, we talked about money management and budgeting, that's part of it. They're putting a household budget together. Reliable transportation, that's a major barrier for not working. Connecting them to health insurance, making sure they are we have credit restoration classes. I think that was up there too. This month will probably be our 5th session. All of the cohort members and the people that participate, they will get their credit pulled by a specialist, and they will take a look at it and sit down with them and talk about it. And make sure that everybody have safe and affordable housing. So those are the benchmarks. That's how we're measuring the people that come through our doors. And here, with social services from this is data from September 2021, since I got here, to January 2025. We have a total referrals of 1,691. We have housed 315 people. I'm talking about housing them at market rate. We had a small percentage of people that's on vouchers, because vouchers are just not really happening. It takes a long time to get people on vouchers. The lines are long, get them in subsidized housing, the lines are long. We'll have people on the streets homeless forever. So we'd rather work with them, the ones that we can. We know there are some exceptions, but we'd rather work with them and get them in market rate housing. That way they're getting off the streets and they're able to live, a life that's quality. And homeless prevention and intervention. When I say homeless prevention and intervention, I'm talking about rental assistance. I know I'm changing a lot of names, but I'm just trying to get out of tradition, because social services doesn't look the same anymore. Everything is different. So we've helped 1,250 people stay housed or prevented them from becoming homeless. We've helped with utility assistance. Those are the numbers there. And our in-house services that we provide is rapid rehousing, homeless prevention and intervention, and utility assistance. I just named those 3 out there because when people come to us, it's more that's needed. Rapid rehousing. If you find that person, I can think right off the back of a person that was actually referred by this council. And I'm just thinking in one person in particular. I'm sure many of you have sent a person, but we went to visit her, I want to say Thursday, and she was actually living right back there. We went to visit her Thursday. It just made our heart so happy to see that she's in her own place permanently. And then it's another one that I can think of that's housed, and we're going to have to do some more transitioning with her. Sometimes I'm not going to sit here and act like everything is hunky-dory all the time, but most of the time it is. But we have to do some additional services, and unfortunately, one person we have to do something different. It's just not working. And we don't want to set any family or any individual for failure. That's not what we're here for. We want to make sure that they're successful in what transpires with them. And Shannon and I work hard. We've made a lot of relationships outside. Rapid rehousing, that's not an easy task to house 315 people. We have to make sure that we're building relationships. We just made another connection right around the corner with property. And when I say making connections, I'm not talking about give us a spot so we can put somebody that's homeless. No, we go check the property. We make sure that it's turned. You're not going to put our clients in anything just because you think it's anything. We don't do that. We go out, we take pictures, we do our own checkoffs to make sure that you're housing them properly. We're not housing them in mildew and mold and bugs infest, we're not doing that. If we find out that has transpired, we request that we get them moved immediately. So we're all hands in. I don't mind anybody come shadowing any day. What we say we do it. And this is the money that we've spent, ESG funding. We had ESG 19, ESG 20s, and ESG CV, and you'll see the total amount that we spent. Those funds were for homeless prevention and intervention. We got that when COVID transpired. We spent that out, and we got CDBG. They gave us the first allocation of $550. That second time, they gave, I think we were the only ones. They was excited about giving us money. And then the third time, they gave us more money. They was excited about giving us money. And we got an audit done, and our audit checked out 100. So we did good. I was proud of that as well. And then our ARPA funds is what we spent there, and then we have some general funds. So I just want to give you an idea of what's transpiring in the office and the resources that we have to pick us. And this is in addition to what we have to ask other agencies to assist us with. And to wrap things up, just to give you some current data, this is what it looked like when a person come and needs some assistance, they have to get on our client track. This helps us keep up with data. I can't function with just people randomly coming. I like to give people attention. So if you call me and say, hey, I know somebody here, there, and the other, I'll put them on my client track so that way I capture their name and information, and I get time to see about them, because I'm still dealing with fires to put out from 2-3 days ago, not alone the ones that come along the day before somebody calls in. So here is, it asks you a simple question: are you an East Point resident? Most of the people that come through are East Point resident. I do know that some people, some cities were calling, asking surrounding cities, hey, how y'all doing this? Can y'all help us? What can you do? I don't mind, telling, but we got to make sure we're taking care of home first. So what is your household status? Then we got most of families, and then we have individuals. And the household income, again, you see where our income lies. So the income here, we don't just ask them that and just go with it. We have to verify it. So this is hard data. They have to give us 30 days proof of income. So when they give us income, we calculate it, and this is how we get our numbers. And here is our supported services. This is what people calling in for. Rental assistance is the most. And here we added in, again, I told you that I'm a community health worker. I wanted to make sure that I was using it to my benefit for the community. And we implemented a healthy family survey. So they have to fill out a survey so we can kind of see where people are mentally, physically, where they are, where their health is. So you can see here we have a vast majority of people with high blood pressure and depression. This has started this year, so we got 40 responses right now, but people are, when you can't pay your bills or things feel like it's not going the right way for you, you feeling like you can't make it, that's what happens. But for the most part, that's what we do. That's it.
Well, thank you so much for your thorough presentation, for the work you do every day to empower people within our community. To you and see Shannon behind you, thank you all so much for what you do. Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you so much for your presentation. You guys are doing an awesome job in working with our unhoused, because they aren't homeless. And just the different services that you guys are providing. So I just had a couple questions that I just wanted to ask. So I know I saw the list of all the different classes that you offer. How often do you all meet for those?
It's every month.
It's every month. They're just once a month that they come in. And so I know you talked about the young lady that you say that you guys helped her and you went back to follow up on her to make sure she's still in the place that you put her. So is that like what your success story? That's what you guys internalize, and that's what just to make sure that those things that you put in place for the participants in the program. Was that someone that went through the program?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, she come through our rapid rehousing. So we have to stick with them 6 months. That's our goal. That's our language. Stay with them 6 months to see how they're doing, regardless if they're part of the Empowered by Getting Ahead program or not. We stay with them 6 months until we get them on their feet, get them working, and then We can probably list so many people that we've gotten jobs, so we got to make sure that they're making livable wages too.
Okay, and I know that number was 315. That's how many unhoused people that we have in the city of East Point?
That's how many we've ran across the house.
That you
Yes,
did?
ma'am.
So do we do any type of, I know like the rental assistance and stuff like that, but are there any like home buyer programs or anything that?
Yes, it was, it should have been up there. Yes, that's our big one. Home ownership planning, we did, this is probably about, this month will be our 5th session, and we're having a big session coming up soon.
So are there
Yes.
incentives that are offered?
During the homeowner?
Yeah, I mean, for, for the people to come in, to purchase their homes, are there any type of incentives that we offer?
Yes, they have to go through an 8-week program, and at the end of that program, they'll get a certificate, and that certificate aids them in getting the counsel they need and the down payment assistance for buying a home.
Okay, and I know we talked about providing a lot of like the social services, and I think I mentioned it before. Atlanta has that program, the Melody, which is it's a Connex box community, Connex housing community, and there people transition through where you'll have the unhoused, they put them in this program, they provide a lot of the services that you guys have, the mental component as well, and like a lot of the education, like you say, the civic classes, about their credit and everything. And I don't know, I mean, it's kind of far out there, but I think it'd be something great that we could possibly, look at. But if you get an opportunity to check out the Melody, it's a Connex community
Okay.
that the city of Atlanta has, and they help people transition from living in, and it's a small living space, but it's a good, clean, safe living space. And I think they're 40 or 50 that they have, and then from there, they're able to provide all those services. Everybody pretty much is on site, and I know we have Morehouse School of Medicine, Grady, where they can come in and they provide the medical component. I know you and, I forgot your name, I'm sorry, Ms. Shannon, provide the mental health component, but it's somewhere where we'll have everybody kind of in one area, and you can constantly work with them. You can provide classes and stuff like that. So this is something that we may want to consider as well.
Right. We build partnerships with some of the behavior health facilities. So most of our clients it takes us maybe 2 or 3 touches. When I say touches, I mean encounters with them to really grasp what they need. And then we determine, okay, they need that behavior health. And we do referrals instantly to Grady or either, what is that one, Shannon? Is it Behavior Riverwood? Yeah, Riverwood. Yeah, so, and we don't just, once we refer them, we don't just leave it at that. It basically circles back around to us. I don't say that to toot our own horn, but I just hate that recycling system where people are recycled out and back into the,
Go right back.
that.
Yeah, whatever. But it's okay, you guys are doing a great job, so it's okay to toot your horn. We'll help you do this well. But thank you. I yield, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Freely.
Thank you for your presentation. I had a question. You had a slide about benchmarks for the Getting Ahead pilot. What is the sort of timeline on that, or what is the rhythm for follow-up, or how long do you track?
Okay. Well, every month we have meetings with our clients monthly. So 6 months is the duration of the time that we spend with them. It can be longer, 12 months. We go up to 12 months, but we have to be rational and reasonable in what we intake and what we do, because I'm just not about a bunch of quantity, but I want the quality for the residents. So in order for us to have the quality, we got to make sure that we have in the right numbers suitable for the work that we can do for what we have. So we do 6 months. Sometimes people stay with us a year. One guy, he's been with us 2 years, 2.5 years. So it just depends. They just like the support and the things that we're bringing to the table. So they just keep going, and we check the marks off. We have our monthly meetings to make sure that the ones that are in the framework are progressing, and prior to the framework that they're progressing. It's a practice that we do with them.
Councilmember Atkins.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for the work that you and Shannon's doing. Greatly appreciate it. As it relates to partnerships, are you guys also partnering with the Zion Hill Community Development Corporation located right here in East Point?
When we can, we do, and I'm just going to be transparent. When we can get in the doors, we can. I'm not a big proponent of sending people and saying, here a piece of paper, go to Zion Hill. But connections, I think it's, changes in some of these agencies make it hard, but when it's become difficult, we have to keep moving to something else to replace that. But for the most part, we try to make those connections the best way we can, but we have to get into the door before the client can, because just sending them is not working for us.
Right. So I was really not thinking about a referral, but like a true partnership. So as the head of our Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Empowerment, I wasn't sure if you had met with their Executive Director, Dawn Price, to make sure that if you're serving the same individual, the same family, you're leveraging the resources.
Right.
And so not really necessarily a referral, but a true partnership. And so I didn't know if you guys, because they're providing rapid rehousing, they're providing, I think, medical benefits, they're providing food and gas cards and things of that nature. So if you're working with some of the same families, then I thought perhaps it was an opportunity to leverage the resources for better service and stretch those dollars, particularly since they're located right here in East Point.
Right. And like I said, we have, I just, when it comes to partnerships, I think it's better when it's on paper so people can have a better understanding of what they're partnering with. And we're getting to see what all of that looks like in the office. But we've reached out.
Who are some of the other partners that we have in this effort?
Well, we partner, well, I don't want to say partner, but we have connections with Buckhead Christian Ministries, Mercy Care, Hosea Helps, Fulton Atlanta Community Action Authority, Fulton County. It's many people, but, and I'm not trying to be like not answer your question, but
Yes, I understand. I just wanted a better idea. I thought I heard in your presentation you talked about partnerships. And so I was just wondering about those partnerships that you had.
The partnerships that we have, mainly when I made reference to the partnerships, I'm talking about the partnerships that we have with people that we put stuff in writing with, and not so much that. That's more of a referral system that we have with some of these, and they have their own list that they have created. So if we can't just jump in on their list. Now, like here, we got our own resources, so I have to reach out other places and get resources. We've had to be creative with that because they're just not real receptive of us jumping in front of everybody else they serve in the county. So just for lack of a better term, that's what I mean by we have not created a partnership with those type entities that give the same services that we do, but we're fortunate enough sometimes to get in sometimes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councilmember Martin Rogers.
Thank you, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for your efforts with the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Empowerment. I've sent several individuals to you over the years prior to becoming a council member and also as a council member. So thank you for your boots on the ground effort. I was very excited to hear that you take an additional step, you and your staff, to ensure that where you're housing individuals is an appropriate living space. So that's just an added tool for us in our toolbox. And just thank you so much for your work.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, thank you again. I've been at events and you have had to leave because you're about to go help somebody move into their home that you helped them get. And I think that's additional work that goes to your passion and commitment to the work, and those aren't things you can really teach people. So it's innate in who you are, and you bring that passion, and Shannon brings that passion to the work. And I think people definitely value and appreciate it, and you've been impactful to over 1,600 people who have reached out, so we appreciate what you're doing. We know that COVID just shined the spotlight on the number of people who are in need of support, and that it continues to increase. And even though we're getting through COVID, it doesn't mean that those needs go away. And it's important as we serve all of our residents that we ensure that we have infrastructure in place that allows us to be able to do it. Thanks for the grant funding that you have gone after and been able to secure to ensure that this work continues to happen, and just everything that you've brought to this work, the data focus. I think that's helped position us to get other opportunities, other funds, and so keep doing what you're doing, and thank you so very much. All right, next up, any committee reports? Or any other presentations or announcements? Any appointments? Any committee reports from any of the persons on the either Budget and Finance Committee or the Council Human Resources Committee? Approval of council agenda, is there a motion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve approve council agenda.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to approve the city council minutes from the regular meeting held on January 27, 2025.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next up are our public hearings. I'm going to turn it over to the Deputy City Manager to read the rules City Attorney, to read the rules for the public hearing. Both of these are alcohol licenses, so that would be the regular public hearing rule.
Madam Mayor, members of council, Rule 29, public hearing. Public hearings shall be advertised as per ordinance. The presiding officer will call for a motion to open and close the hearing. Those in favor of the subject will speak first for a total of 15 minutes. Each speaker will be limited to not more than 3 minutes. Those who oppose the subject will then speak for a total of 15 minutes. Each speaker will be limited to not more than 3 minutes. Speakers may give a total of 3 minutes to another speaker after all of those present have had an opportunity to speak. Residents will be given first priority to speak. After all residents have been given an opportunity to speak, non-residents may speak. By a majority vote, the council may increase the total time for each side of the subject to a total of 30 minutes per side. Each side will be given the same amount of time. Speakers must adhere to the rules of decorum.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing on the Chevron Food Mart retail sales alcohol license, 1377 Virginia Avenue?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Jessie, I'm going to turn it over to you for staff to give a brief overview of this before we open the hearing.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have a representative here from the police department to talk about this.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have 2 alcohol requests. The first one is for Arif Mohammed Jawani. He's applying for an alcohol license for retail sale of an existing business, Chevron Food Mart, located at 1377 Virginia Avenue. Mr. Jawani is the registered agent of an existing business and has no history with the city of East Point. Mr. Jawani has passed the background process, adhered to advertisement requirements, and obeyed all bylaws required as a new applicant. The police department recommends the issuance of the alcohol license for retail sale of beer and wine.
Thank you so much. I'm going to shift to the side. I'm going to ask anyone who would like to come up and speak in support of the request for an alcohol license. Please come up at this time.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. My name is Salim Thabani. So we are in process of buying this location. This is an existing location, and we would request the council and all the members to approve the license. We have been in the business for last 30 years. And no citations, and, you know, we want to be part of the community.
Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
I'll see if anyone else would like to speak at this time.
Sure.
You all can have a seat. Anyone else who would like to speak in support of the request for a retail sales alcohol license at 1377 Virginia Avenue? Anyone else who would like to speak in support? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition of the request for a retail sales alcohol license at 1377 Virginia Avenue? Come forward.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Councilors. 1277 Virginia. That's a very high crime rate in our city. It's on the border of my little community of Egan Park. Do we really need another source for alcohol right there? I'm wondering if that's a wise decision given the overall activity of the police in that vicinity. It's a very, very difficult area for the police already, so more alcohol seems iffy to me. Thank you.
So, anyone else who would like to speak in opposition to a request for a retail sales alcohol license at 1377 Virginia Avenue? Anyone in opposition? Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Any further action on this item? Councilmember Ziegler.
Yes, I would just like to ask a question about the actual address. I don't think that address is correct.
So we can do a motion to open the floor for discussion and possible action, and then we can.
I'll make a motion for discussion and possible action for the alcohol license at the Chevron Food Mart retail sales.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Councilmember Ziegler.
Yeah, I believe that the address is 1337 and not 1377. 1377 Virginia Avenue is the Motel 6. And 1337 is the gas station with the Subway at it. Okay. Just want to make sure we're talking about the right thing.
Ms. Jessie, I will have the police have staff clarify what the address is.
The correct address is 1337 and it is listed on the application as well. It was a typo on my behalf.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Councilmember Ziegler?
Sure, and to Mr. Wardlow's point, do we have crime data on that area in particular, since this is right next to Motel 6?
I don't have it with me now, but we can get that.
I'm going to ask, I'm not sure what the requirements for issuance of alcohol licenses are, and whether or not crime data is something that is a factor. And so I would defer to legal before we get into that, since we're in a public hearing at the meeting. And if you need some time, I can go to the other council members.
Madam Mayor, I would ask just to give me a couple minutes, let me check to see.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is an existing gas station, correct?
Correct, it's just new owners.
So it's
they
not going
already
to be an
have
additional
alcohol license, they're just new owners.
transfer?
Correct.
Shropshire?
That answers my question. It's a transfer. Thank you.
Councilmember Freely?
I guess my question maybe for the Deputy City Attorney, does the incorrect address advertised for the public hearing, does that affect our ability to take action tonight?
And just so I'm understanding, I think the officer indicated that it was her typo. Now, I don't know if that was a typo on the notice, or was that just a typo on the agenda?
Madam City Clerk, who published the notice for the public hearing? Do we have a copy of the published notice for the public hearing?
He's going to provide a copy of it.
So, can you email it to
Who it needs to go to?
our city clerk, and then she'll print it out for us? You know her email by heart? Okay. Councilmember, Manager Jesse, did you have something? Your light's on. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Councilmember Cummings?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this was the Circle K you're purchasing? Are you going to make, and it's now going to be Chevron, correct? Yes. Okay. Thank you. I yield.
Circle K is across the street. So, if the applicant can come back forward really quickly, because I think Chevron and Circle K are separate. Is the Chevron, are you in the same lot as the Subway?
The Subway is the tenant next door. It's a separate business.
Separate business, but it's
Yeah.
connected to,
That's correct.
and the gas station is a Chevron gas station.
That's correct.
The Circle K is across the street.
No, Circle K is the brand. So this is the Chevron station branded as Circle K franchise, yeah.
Okay, so Circle K and Chevron. are
It's the same location, that's
Okay,
correct.
got it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Councilmember Cummings.
Yeah.
Okay. Send us that document, so we have one or two things that we can do at this point. We're in a motion for discussion and possible action. We can either wait till they print it out and give it to us, or we can table this item and move on to the next one and come back with the motion to table.
Motion to table.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have a public hearing. Oh, so what we're doing is tabling the item. They'll get us the information, and then we will remove it from the table. Next up, we have, need a motion to open the public hearing for alcohol license for consumption on premises at Whiskey Atlanta, 3523 Camp Creek Parkway. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. The floor is now open. Ms. Jessie, if staff could give us an overview.
Yes, ma'am. Police Department will provide an overview.
Mr. Jaden Lamar is applying for an alcohol license for consumption on premise of a new business, Whiskey Atlanta, located at 3523 Camp Creek Parkway. Mr. Lamar is the registered agent of the new business and has no history with the city of East Point. Mr. Lamar passed the background process, adhered to advertisement requirements, and obeyed all bylaws required as a new applicant. The police department recommends the issuance of the license for consumption on premise of beer, wine, and liquor.
Thank you. All those in favor of the request for alcohol license for consumption on premises at Whisk Atlanta, please come forward at this time. Anyone in favor?
Good evening. My name is Vivian Towns. I'm an actual resident of the city of East Point for about 20-plus years. I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Lamar in the process of him going through and opening up his business, which is what I do in my line of work. I'm a business strategist, and I help new businesses structure, file, comply with city, county, and state and national ordinances. But as a resident, I am someone who has forever been looking for the type of restaurant I'm used to from where I come from, which is up north, but mostly a breakfast and brunch experience that's a little upscale, away from the traditional hustle and bustle of Midtown, Buckhead, downtown, etc. This is in the same location as This Is It. And so it's been transformed into a really beautiful restaurant and dining experience. So I am here as a resident in support of this gentleman's new business.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in support? You can go if you like.
Hi, yes. I just wanted to say, well, for one, thankful for the opportunity of being able to put a brunch restaurant in our backyard. I grew up on Butner Road. I went to school on Stone Road. I'm John Blank Woodland Middle School all 3 years, right from Paul D. West. So this is my area. I currently have a valet business where we park at a few notable restaurants. We have around 10 locations. So I'm big in the restaurant industry. And then from that, I have a co-owner in the franchise on Camp Creek Parkway. That's a Golden Crust Caribbean restaurant. So I have restaurant experience, but more than that, I kind of want, like she said, just bring something that's not too rowdy to our part of town, so we don't, every time we want to do something nice, we don't have to go all the way up into the city and sit in traffic for all day. So we can have something nice in our backyard, family, like she said, family friendly, nothing too crazy, not a bunch of green walls and stuff and loud music. It's just really cool and a really nice environment. So sorry to talk too much. All right.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the request for an alcohol license for consumption on premises at Whisk Atlanta, 3523 Camp Creek Parkway? Anyone who would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the request for an alcohol license for consumption on premises at Whisk Atlanta? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the request? Anyone in opposition? Close the public hearing.
Madam Mayor, I make the motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Any further action on this item?
Yes. Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the alcohol license for Whisk.
Go ahead, Councilmember Butler.
Madam Mayor, I make the motion that we approve the alcohol license for Whisk.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? When did you all open Golden Crest?
June 14th.
Of last year?
Of last year, yes, you were there.
Yeah, so I attended the grand opening of Golden Crest in Camp Creek in June and they shared with me then that a brunch spot was coming. It's kind of under wraps at the time, but grateful that you all were able to walk. That one is in Camp Creek and not actually in East Point. This is. And is a pleasant addition to the offerings here in our city. So thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Butler.
No, ma'am, I'm out of discussion.
Councilmember Cumming.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I just say something to him about just with the business? Just appreciating. Okay, yes, thank you. Congratulations on starting this, and I saw the advertisement for it. And when they say the caption that I read on social media was bringing Buckhead to Camp Creek. That is exactly what he did. I mean, it's a beautiful spot, and I'm definitely looking forward to patronizing your business. Congratulations and good luck to you, young man.
Councilmember Shropshire.
Thank you. Congratulations on your new business. So let me ask you, when will you be open to have the grand opening if you have not already had it?
So we have a short come for.
So we've had these, a soft opening with minimal promotion, just so we can get some operations going, make sure everything is good. So we've done that this past Friday, and we'll be back open Tuesday.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you notify economic development of the soft openings or anyone in the city in particular?
No, we haven't. There was a few people in attendance, from the city, but an official notice, no, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So when you do your grand opening, you're going to send out notice?
Of course,
Okay.
yes. We just didn't want to promote it too much and then get bombarded with too many people, and we can't handle it, but it's fine.
Thank you.
Councilmember Martin Rogers.
I just wanted to say, I don't know how you all ended up in my news feed on Instagram, but I was very excited, and I started following the page. And somehow I found myself inside this restaurant twice this weekend. And I just want to say that it is a breath of fresh air for East Point. I was taken away by the decoration.
Yeah.
The attentiveness of the staff, but most importantly, the food. There's also Talk Your Business Up. You all have a cafe that has an available room space if people want to rent it out. But I was thoroughly impressed with, I just stumbled upon it in my news feed and I was like, well, this is in East Point. Let me just go check it out. But I had a very good experience there at your restaurant. The decor, whoever did the design, they turned the This Is It cafeteria into a full-blown, beautiful restaurant. So
Thank you.
Congratulations, and thank you all for coming to East Point.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion to approve the alcohol license for consumption on premises at Whisk Atlanta 3523 Camp Creek Parkway? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Progressive don't work. Look. Trying to figure out which part of the class we can get into. We get a motion to remove item number 2 from the table. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion?
No, I was in to make the motion.
Yeah, just a question now that we have this. Oh, sorry. Apologies.
In favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Can we get a motion for discussion and possible action on Chevron Food Mart Retail Sales Alcohol License 1337 Virginia Avenue?
So moved.
There's a second. It's been moved and properly seconded. Discussion. Councilmember Freely.
So now that we have this information, I guess my follow-up question for the Deputy City Attorney is what we're looking at, does that constitute the legal notice that's required vis-a-vis the public hearing?
Did the notice have the correct address?
Oh, sorry, I assumed you.
Hold on a minute. Thank you, Councilman Butler.
if the notice has the correct address, I think that satisfies the requirement.
The notice, it appears to be taped to the door of the location. Is that what we're looking for?
I believe that should satisfy the requirement for the notice.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
And I also wanted to address, there was the question about any, I guess, criminal or crime statistics or things of that nature considered. So in the ordinance regarding an alcohol license, in the application of the applicant, there are a slew of things that the police chief or his designee that the police chief or his or her designee will consider. And so if there were any issues with crime, I think those are things that the police chief would consider before he or she makes their recommendation. One of the things listed are security plans and plans for training employees, nature of any type of entertainment, provisions for parking. And so there are a whole slew of things. And so I believe if there are issues regarding that area, that those are things that the police chief or the designee can consider when they review the application.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Yeah, so that was my question. So I wanted to kind of know the crime statistics for that area and if there was any type of plan or what was your opinion on if that would increase any crime in any way?
So it wasn't an increase of crime in that area. If it is an issue, we will address it if it becomes an issue for the city, but there's no big issue as far as having the sale of alcohol at the gas station.
Okay, thank you.
Madam City Clerk, I'm going to ask that you make this posting a part of the agenda materials
Yes, I can.
for this item.
Okay.
Councilmember Butler.
Madam Mayor, I make the motion that we approve the alcohol license for the Chevron on Virginia Avenue.
Been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Next up, public comments. Do we have any public?
Yes, ma'am. We have 3 public comments this evening.
Chapter 2, Section 2-2002BB, Rule 28, the public may speak during the public comment section of the agenda. Speakers must complete a comment form prior to the start of the meeting. Subject may include any subject of choice. There will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. Speakers that have signed up to speak may give all or part of their time, up to 3 minutes, to another speaker for a total of 6 minutes of speaking time. Speakers may address the council only once during this time of the agenda. Speakers must identify themselves and their address prior to speaking. Questions from the speakers may not be addressed during the public speaking section of the agenda. East Point residents will have priority over other speakers. There will be a total of not more than 60 minutes for the public speaking section of the agenda. Speakers may only address the presiding officer. Speakers shall observe all rules of decorum. No debate, disrespect, or obscenity shall be tolerated. The presiding officer shall rule any such individual out of order that fails to comply with the foregoing. Madam City Clerk, you may call the first speaker.
Up first, we have Mr. Tom Wardlow.
Members of the City Council, thank you for having me. My name is Tom Wardlow. I am a resident of East Point. I live at 1301, 1301 Mercer, here in the city of East Point. I have 2 things this evening, and both of them revolve around an issue of timeliness, sort of times of the essence things, and so I would just want to set it up in that way. First thing that I have is I understand that Public Works or whoever has approval to put the sidewalk in on Sylvan Road, south of Cleveland, that's near the Walmart. I just want to know if in fact those monies have been approved by City Council, allocated, and what the timeliness of that sidewalk is. It is a dangerous spot in our city. I would like to see it improved with a sidewalk. So my question is, if you would, Madam Mayor, let me know, when will this happen? And then the other issue that I have is also one of timeliness, and it is how long, no, let me rephrase that. When will you move on a city manager? I understand that you, in December, approved the discussion which moved then into executive session, since it's personnel matter, appropriately, but that was December. Now we're in February. This assignment, this hiring needs to happen, because who you're going to go to ask about the sidewalk or any other piece of work in this city? There's no place. We are told we can't come directly to you. You can't go to the city manager. Who do I go to get my question answered? So I just want to encourage you, please, each of you, to think about the good of the city rather than your own personal need for the city to meet what you want. The good of the city, I believe, at this time is more important than the individuals. Thank you.
Up next, we have Ms. Barbara Boyce.
Hello, Mayor and Councilman. My name is Barbara Boyce. I live at 1356 St. Michael Avenue, East Point. And I'm in the section called Colonial Hills. I've been coming to this council over 10 years to try to get my street paid. And also the entrances and the exits going in and out of East Point paid. I've called the Fulton County administration and asked them about paving my road, my street. But they told me that the council has to put Colonial Hill on the paperwork to be done. Okay. And so I found out also, I called the Department of Transportation also about it. But nothing has happened. And I'm wondering if Colonial Hills are part of East Point. Because we don't get anything. And we pay the 1 cent sales tax to Splosh to get my street paved, and those entrances and the right-of-ways with the trees and the limb just overpowering the whole section. Call to get it done, doesn't get done. And so I'm tired. I don't did my best. So I'm gonna have to move on and call other people, because this is a right that I have as a citizen of East Point and Colonial Hill. And you're taking my taxes. Every time I buy something, I have to pay 1 cent sales tax, don't I? And then the state roads, why aren't they done? They weren't done when we had the Olympics. Other parts of that 166 West was getting paid, but not East Point. Something is wrong. And it need to be dealt with because this is a tax problem. I am a citizen. I pay the 1 cent sales tax and the state tax and the federal tax. But nothing's getting done on at Colonial Hill. And I want to know why. Other places get paved. Why not Colonial Hills? Thank you all for listening to me.
Lastly, we have Mr. Eric Coleman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Eric Coleman, 4192 Mayapple Lane. Today, I'm actually really seeking your assistance or help with information availability on the city's website, specifically the Planning and Zoning website. There's a button that basically guides you to zoning cases. I click on that button, go to the page, there are a series of links. Those links are broken, so the information on that page is unavailable to kind of explore that appears to be publicly available. Additionally, along the similar lines, the GeoPoint website, also specific to planning and zoning, it appears to be a really useful tool, but it appears there is an East Point Planning Department map that plots in geocodes zoning case reports. If you go on that page and click on the case reports, that information is also outdated. It appears to be behind in time, maybe several years, but it looks like a really good resource, and it could be really beneficial for people making informed decisions about planning and zoning matters across the city of East Point. And then lastly, I'd like to thank the East Point Police Department for providing information and guidance on the crime rates across the city. But in his communication, or in the police department's communication about crime rates across the city, I found there to be some possible discrepancies. So for example, in his communication to the city, it was noted that homicides were up. But homicides have actually doubled since 2023. The rates have increased 112%. Simple assault has increased 49%, rape 22%, robberies, it was noted that there was a slight increase, but there was actually an increase of 21%. Additionally, homicides, there were 17. Homicides solved, it was 12. It was noted that there was a clearance rate of 94, but in actuality, that clearance rate is closer to 71. Overall, as noted, it appears that crime is decreasing, but violent crimes like homicides, robbery, assault have increased significantly. So I really want to inquire what the city is doing to address violent crimes across the city. Lastly, there was a note regarding statistics about break-ins. There was a 44% reduction. That information doesn't appear to be available on the crime statistics report. And then lastly, I thought it would be beneficial to see these statistics per ward so that we could begin to address crime equitably across the city. Thank you for your time.
Those are all the public comments we have this evening.
All right, thank you to everyone who spoke during public comments. Next up is the council discussion and possible action on rezoning request for property located at 2928 Palm Drive from R1A to R13. The public hearing was held on November the 18th. Can we get a motion to open the floor for discussion and possible action?
So moved.
Second. Properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Jessie, if we can get an overview from staff
Yes,
about where we
ma'am.
are right now.
Madam Mayor, Kimberly Smith is going to provide you with information on this item.
Thank you, Ms. Jessie. Kimberly Smith, Planning and Zoning Director. In reference to this item, which the public hearing was held back in November of 2024, there is a directive for us to go back and meet with the applicant in reference to his petition to zone from R1A to R3, which is our multifamily residential. We had the opportunity to meet with the applicant, and we had a suggestion, recommendation for him to possibly do a down zoning from what he was requesting, which is the R3. But after that conversation with the applicant, the R2 would not work for him based on some financial approvals that he was seeking with the property. At this point, the property has an administrative approval to have a duplex, triplex on it. That permission was provided administratively in the summer. We're at a standstill in moving forward. Planning Commission recommended denial of R3. Staff also recommended denial of the R3. Another option would be to possibly approve the R3 with a set of conditions, and if that is the wishes of council, for us to work with the applicant and possibly come up with conditions for R3, we'll be more than happy to work with the applicant and our staff to come up with conditions. But at this point, the applicant asked for a deferral to see it's more input from council. But we followed the rezoning process. The rezoning process is as follows. They submit the application, it goes through CZIM, it goes through Planning Commission for recommendation, it comes to this council for recommendation. So the options are for council to take action to approve or disapprove the rezoning, or the applicant has the option of requesting the downzoning. So that's where we are. It's really in the applicant's court to make a decision whether he wants to move forward with a new application for the R2 downgrade from what he was asking. But as it stands, Planning Commission has recommended denial and staff has recommended denial.
But you said there was an administrative permit approved.
The administrative permit that was approved came forward in August, and it was done administratively. His petition, his application met all of the requirements to be approved for the administrative permit, and that is to use the property as it currently is. It's a legal non-conforming use for duplex and triplex use. And his application, his property met all of the conditions, and it was approved administratively. The discrepancy came in play when there was some type of financial application that he was seeking through his bank or investors, and it was not denied. It was denied, which is a process and system that plays outside of our purview.
Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So what he has in the front, that's the single-family residence, correct?
That's a single-family residence.
And the unit that's in the back, what is that?
That is it's a 2-unit.
So it's a duplex in the back?
Yes.
And when he initially went in and did the permit, it was approved for him to do what he has there now?
So that property was set up single-family in the front
And then they built
and
the
set
unit in
up
the
with 2 units in the back. That has been in play since the 60s. So it was a legal non-conforming use.
So that was already back there? And
Correct.
Just kind of
That's
spruced it
correct.
up
Since the 60s.
and converted it into, what was it originally before he went in and did the renovation?
It's been that use since the 1960s.
And what's already, and this is a R1 community, correct?
Right. That's
And
correct.
he's wanting to have it the zoning, and the zoning, that's all contingent, that has to do with his financing, that it needs to be zoned as such so that he can get approval for the financing, correct?
That's our understanding, correct? Which plays outside of our process and our recommendations.
Okay. And so what he's asking is that we go back and we rezone it as R3.
That is his petition before the council, yes.
Is there anything else in this area that's like this? Do they have any other houses that have additional structures in the rear?
There are other homes that have accessory units in the back, yes. However, those properties have not come before council for rezoning. They have come before council for habitable accessory structures, which some of them were approved. This property is unique in the way that it's been in this format, single family in the front with 2 units in the back since the 1960s. Some of the other units simply have single family in the front with 1 unit, 1 habitable accessory structure in the back.
So since this was always this way since the 60s, could it be grandfathered in, or? Because the only thing he did was just fix up what was already there, correct?
Correct.
Did he go through the permitting process as he was supposed to? I mean,
He actually started work on the project without getting permits, and this is how it came before us.
okay. Clear as mud now. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Butler.
What zoning or what procedure makes it a conforming use?
R3 would make it conforming to multifamily for the financial aspect that he's seeking. He is a legal non-conforming use, right, as it stands now.
Yeah, but not for the financing. What would we need to do to make it be conforming?
It's conforming now. It conforms based on, it's a legal non-conforming use now.
It's a legal non-conforming use.
Yes.
So when we do the zoning for habitable structures, that's still R1 for the habitable structure?
This particular property is different than a habitable accessory structure because it has 2 units in the back versus having just 1.
And when you said that we could do an administrative, make it R2, what's the difference between R2 and R3 in this case? Your recommendation was to him was R2, right?
It was R2. However, R2 would not work for this scenario. After we looked at it and we met with him, it would not work because he has 2 units in the back and he has one house in the front. A R2 is for 2 family only.
Okay, thank you. So the only thing that would make it conform to what the use is R3, because it's a triplex.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Atkins.
Yes, thank you. Director Smith, as it relates to the duplex that's behind the primary structure and the administrative permit that was provided to Mr. Lay, that is still in effect,
Yes.
and it still makes the property legal.
Yes.
Mr. Lay wants a rezoning to unload the property, to sell the property. Is that correct, to your knowledge?
That is correct to my knowledge.
So in essence, the request of this body is to rezone it to multifamily, and then Mr. Lay then would get, the bank would approve a loan, and then he would no longer be the owner, and then someone else could come and own the property. And because it's multifamily, there could even be more units there?
That's correct.
Okay. So right now, with the administrative permit, because it is a non-conforming grandfathered use, everything is completely legal right now.
Yes, that's right.
Correct?
Yes.
So if this body did nothing, that property can operate with a primary structure in front and 2 units in the back, and it's a legal non-conforming grandfathered use, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Shropshire.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, did any of the residents speak during the public hearing?
None of the no one came out in opposition or to support it.
Okay, so basically what he wants is the change in zone to be in compliance.
He want the change, his intent for the change in the zoning was to suffice a financing process that he was going through with his bank. The administrative approval apparently wasn't enough, and so he wanted to go to the next step to get an actual rezoning.
In order for his bank to give him funding.
Yes.
And so, and you said that this has been in existence since the 60s.
Yes.
So basically, is it zoned, I would say, wrong?
When the R1A zoning came into existence, what it basically did was rezone structures that were duplexes on the ground. The intent behind that, and I wasn't here, but the intent behind that was to weed out duplexes in the city. They didn't
It was.
Okay.
And so what it did was, any duplexes, it went back to
Single
whatever
family.
Exactly. And if they wanted to do a duplex, then they had to come back before council to get approval. But that was the intent, and the reason why they did it was to turn every duplex back, because there were more duplex in certain areas than it was throughout the city. And that is why they did what they did.
Right.
So, so if we do nothing, then it remains the same. He could fix it up and do whatever.
That's right.
Thank you.
Councilmember Mitchell.
I heard you mention earlier, are we able to put stipulations around, say, multifamily moving in, or?
That is an option.
Because I think is that your biggest concern? That's what I'm hearing.
Staff recommended denial of this. There are no R3 properties within the vicinity. We considered it spot zoning. It would be out of character for the community. At hand, there are a lot of single-family homes. Some of them do have habitable accessory structures in the vicinity. However, just dropping an R3 multifamily in the middle of that would be out of character. And then what would stop the next person, the neighbors, from coming in and asking for the exact same thing? And then all of a sudden, we're flipping a community that was single-family with one or two habitable structures in the backyard to multifamily. And so that's not the plan, and that wasn't the intent of the ordinance or the comprehensive plan. So we just do not recommend or support that from a staff perspective.
Even if we decided to put stipulations on this, will he still be able to, I guess, renovate this piece of property? Okay. Okay. Well, thank you.
Councilmember Ziegler.
Hi, thank you, Director Smith. So this is in the neighborhood of River Park, and although people have not been able to attend the public meetings, they have been very vocal in the neighborhood meetings themselves, and they are very opposed to this rezoning request. They are really worried about an apartment complex coming in, because that is an allowable use for R3, and there's nothing that would stop somebody to do an apartment complex if we approve an R3 rezoning. And to your point, it sounds like that, you know, what is there right now is already in conforming. It's already within use. He's able to do what he wants to do. The only thing that he can't do is he can't sell the property right now because he wants to sell it to somebody else in a different way. So, I'm a no vote on this issue, and I hope that everyone else agrees as well. Thanks.
So, Director Smith, Based on when did you grant the administrative permit again?
In August of 2024.
So from that point forward, it's conforming
Yes,
with the renovations he's done and all of that.
yes.
He's now asking to be able to change the zoning so potentially apartment complex can go there. He can sell it and make more money. Possibly.
Possibly.
So I was trying to find quickly in the code, but I couldn't find it. With a multifamily R3 zoning, how many units could
It
go
was
there?
4 to 8 units.
4 to 8 units on this lot that is surrounded by a single family.
Yes.
And where's the applicant?
I'm sorry?
Where's the applicant?
He's not here today.
Was he aware?
I believe so. It's my understanding that he was.
So although
Contacted.
staff has worked with him to bring the property into compliance, it is conforming now with the administrative permit. He's still asking for a rezoning to multifamily to increase density on this property in a single-family neighborhood.
He has a petition for R3, yes.
The options, if council does nothing, then this remains open, because it's still an application that needs to be action by council. Or it will be something that is just sitting out there with no action. Council could approve. Approving would allow a multifamily, potentially 4 to 8 units in a single-family neighborhood, apartments to be built on this. Or council could deny, and he's already in conforming, it's already in conforming use, so what he quote-unquote expected when he purchased it, because it wasn't zoned for that, right?
Correct. It's zone R13, which are single-family urban residential.
So when he purchased it, that was the zoning, and that was basically what he knew at the
Correct.
time was approved. The comprehensive plan, our updated plan, what is it zoned as?
It is regional development. Let me just. Redevelopment neighborhood is the comprehensive plan designation. In regional neighborhood development, R3 is one of the typical zoning districts. However, for multifamily, and I can't read this, but I'm going to do my best. It basically states that it allows for the multifamily at intersections, at corners, or where currently existing. So that's why staff recommended denial of it, because this particular location in the neighborhood is not on a corner, and it's not already existing, so.
So it's not in line with our comprehensive plan?
It's not.
So, again, council has 3 options. If we do nothing, there's still an application out there with no decision from council. And I'm not sure the legal implications of that. Council can approve or council can deny. And the applicant was aware, but it's not here this evening. To your
That's my
knowledge.
understanding, yes.
Any action on this item? Councilmember, I saw you moving. Councilmember Freely.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd make a motion to deny the rezoning request for 2928 Palm Drive.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Next up is the legislative roundtable. Get a motion to open the floor for discussion and possible action.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. So follow back up with Representative Schofield with our state legislators, and actually February the 19th at 6 p.m. works best for them. I know they initially shared March 4th at 6, but everyone's not available. So they're looking at February 19th. I've also reached out to our federal delegation. With all that's happening in D.C., it might not be that likely that we'll be able to get our Congress women, we have, Congresswoman Williams and Congresswoman Macbeth, or our senators to come in person, but they do have a lot of district staff here, so I'm sure we'll be able to get federal as well. Our state lobbyist is available, and staff would just need to check to make sure that someone from the federal lobbyist team would be here. So based upon availability, February 19th, I think at 6 p.m. here, seems to be the best date for our state delegation.
Is that a motion?
If someone makes it.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second that we have our legislative roundtable on February 19th, 2025 at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. Any discussion on that motion?
Quick question, will it be like we've had in the past, the settings and everything?
Like with the setting and dinner and?
Yes.
If that's council's desire.
That's
Is
how
everybody
it's
okay
been in
with
the
that?
past.
So I think we kind of do U-shaped table here, or set it up here, have dinner and have the presentations and discussions.
Yes.
Everybody's okay with that framework?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, comments from council. Councilmember Shropshire.
Thank you. Let me say thank you to the residents that came out. And Ms. Jessie, is it can we get the Public Works Director to provide us an update on the street paving and what can we do? Because I know Ms. Boyce has came down several times in reference to her street. So if we can have an update from Public Works on the paving over in Colonial Hill, to see if there's any streets on the list, or to see what we can do to possibly get those streets on, to see what can be done. And I know she's been a resident for quite some time. So has there been any, and I guess what we need to know is, have there been any, what they do when they look at the streets?
Ratings.
Yeah, ratings, exactly. Have they done that for the street? What does it look like in that area to possibly have those streets cut? And also the trees that she mentioned as well, looking at that, what is it if it's hanging over the power lines that could cause an outage? And I know we talked about sidewalks on Sylvan Road, and an update on that as well. And I know we probably recently talked about that as well, but that would be helpful if the Public Works Director can provide us an update with that as well.
Yes, ma'am. I already sent the Public Works Director an email regarding Ms. Boyce's presentation.
Okay.
And asking for information, and the same for the Power Department, to have the arborists check that area.
Okay, and actually it would be good if, just to give us an overall overview, because I know one end of Delowe going to Washington Road have not been paved, and they were waiting till the sidewalks was completed to finish that end as well. So just to give us an overview.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I want to thank everyone that attended the meeting, both via live stream and those that came out in person. And I just wanted to make a real brief statement about, I know there was a robocall that came out with regards to support or lack thereof for the Commons project, but I would just like to go on record to let everybody know that I have been and always will be in full support of us bringing the Commons project to fruition. So I know there were some statements that were made from a robocall, so I just wanted to just let everyone know that we are, we have some bumps in the road, but we are working to bring this project to fruition. Thank you.
Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, to Mr. Wardlow, I would like to let him know that we have made an offer, and I think that offer has been accepted. So we're just looking forward to a new city manager very soon. I would like to thank everyone who came to the town hall meeting on Saturday. It was very successful and informative. I would also like to announce that we're having an emergency Ward D public safety meeting that will be done via Zoom, and that public safety meeting will be held on Wednesday, February 6th at 6:30. There is an emergency public safety town hall meeting hosted via Zoom Wednesday, February 6th at 6:30. You can find that Zoom link at the city website, or feel free to email me at jbutler@eastpointcity.org for that link. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Ziegler.
Yes, thank you so much for everybody who came out tonight. And I know that our city has not been maintaining their roads for quite some time, for 10 years or so, and we have a number of roads that are in disrepair across the city. I know that in Ward B, I have a short list, which is not so short, of roads that are in need of immediate repaving. It's Stanton Road, Idlewood Drive, Fort Valley Drive, McClellan Avenue, St. Michael Avenue, Noonan Street, Glendale Drive, East Forest Avenue, every road in Ripper Park, and from Sylvan, from the Atlanta city limits to Rosie's. That's just the short list of just in Ward B. And I know that this has been my agenda item on the work session, and it's going to continue to be an agenda item on every single work session until we get some answers and we actually have a plan. We have a total of $23 million in cash in the T-SPLOST account. So we really have no excuse to have our city be in this much of disrepair. So these concerns are very valid, and all I can say is I'm very sorry that's taken so long. I have run into so many people who have told me that they have lived here their entire lives, 30 years plus, and they've never seen their street repaved. And that is a great disservice to our community. So in order for us to work together and really work together to improve the quality of lives of everybody, we really need to put our differences aside and make sure that we're really putting that forward. Thank you.
Councilmember Freeland.
I just wanted to second the mayor's comments at the top of the meeting regarding Black History Month and other recognitions throughout the year. As we see diversity and inclusion and equity attacked at the national level, I think it's even more important that we recognize that at the local level. So, thank you.
Councilmember Shropshire.
Thank you. Just a quick note. There were some parts of Stanton Road actually paved, and the part that was paved was from Stanton Road to, I believe, the red light, and that was many years ago before they built Hillcrest 1 and 2, because I remember speaking about that when other roads needed to be paved, and it was just, at the time, those projects, and I asked them, why did they pave a road when it's just a cemetery there? And the part of Stanton Road that was also paved was when they built those townhomes there. So not all of Stanton has been paved, but there are portions that have been paved. And yes, they can't pave the whole the road, but yeah, there are portions of Stanton Road that have been paved. But for overall, there are a lot of streets in the city that need to be paved, and that is why hopefully Ms. Jessie, the Public Work Director, will come with the list of streets that are on the list to be paved, and hopefully if we get another T-Splash, they can go and collect and have more streets added to the list as what they did with the first two T-Splosh. And I do agree, yes, we do need to work together for the better good of the city, but it takes more than one person. It has to be everybody.
So, as it relates to roads being repaired in the city over the last 10 years, Ms. Jess, I believe we're in T-Splosh 2,
Yes, ma'am.
which is about $35 million the first time, and if the number that was shared correctly, was $23 million now. I think it would be very important, given what's been stated, that we have a complete record of the number of streets and roads that have been repaved since we started the T-Splosh. I think the number of streets, total streets that we have in the city would also help shed light on the deferred maintenance that was inherited over 10 years ago and what we've done to deal with it. I think also being able to have the road study, the previous one, I think they've been using, I've been told that they've updated it because the roads are supposed to be selected based upon their ratings. And for there to be a comprehensive discussion around and factual information around what actually has been done as it relates to repaving and sidewalk installation, what needs to be done, the plan that is in place for that. I know for each T-Splosh we have to list Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 projects in order for that referendum to even be put on the ballot. All of the cities in the county have to do that and did that. And so I think if we could get a comprehensive report on what we've done through T-Splosh, but also LMIG grants, local maintenance improvement grants, and all of the other funding that has been spent on road repair and repaving and sidewalk installation. And I'm not suggesting that there aren't still roads that need to be repaved. I think having a comprehensive look at what that looks like for our city. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know, I'm thinking of a number of 400. I can't remember how many roads and streets we have in the city, but it's hundreds. And the plan that is in place to deal with them. I think that would be helpful. Again, our city is truly our strength, and our city has embraced that, recognized that, celebrated it, and really encouraged people to be welcoming to everyone, regardless of where you're from, what you look like, who you love, what your income status is, any of that. None of that matters. Everyone is valued here in East Point. No, we have a lot of other things happening in the world, but in East Point, we're going to continue to do that and double down on it, and continue to make sure that we're celebrating our diversity this year. I know there's a number of things that are probably off the national list, but will still be celebrated here. Black History Month, Pride Month, Asian American Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, and I'm probably forgetting some. We do the, what's the powwow for Native American. And so we're looking forward to continuing to celebrate and respect and honor and value our differences, because our diversity is our strength for East Point. And as we go into executive session, I'm going to ask how many items we have. I'm also going to suggest when we get in there may be some discussions that we want to have public, since information is getting to the public, and it might not be the actual information that's being shared. So we might want to talk about, after executive session, what items we really want to come out here and have public discussions on, so that the factual information can be shared. So, legal, do you have any executive session items tonight?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have one real estate, one personnel, and one litigation.
Ms. Jessie?
No, ma'am.
Council, any executive session items? Personnel? Anyone else? Items, Councilman Butler?
Yes, Madam Mayor, you sparked a thought, if I may add a comment. about Black History Month?
You can do it before we make the motion. I'm just trying to get a tally right now of in real estate personnel and litigation. I have 1 real estate, 2 personnel, and 1 litigation. Any additional? Councilmember Butler, and then we'll have a motion to read.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also want to say thank you to Chris Swain and the staff of East Point. In accordance with Black History Month, we had 3 new murals that were presented. One of esteemed former city councilman and former state representative Joe Hextall. He was the first African American to integrate East Point City Council. Celia Cruz, the famous Grammy Award-winning Cuban salsa singer, was honored. And we also have a mural of Ralph David Abernathy. So I want to say thank you to Chris Swain for those yeoman jobs, and we're making East Point very beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Butler, for bringing that up, because I had to call former Representative and former Councilmember Hextall yesterday to say that I wasn't aware of the mural being put up of him and honoring his legacy, and definitely would have made effort to try to be there because I had no knowledge of what the mural was going to be. And Joe Hextall was the first Black elected to City Council in the city of East Point. And then he went on to serve as a state representative. So when I was at a neighborhood meeting yesterday, I was totally shocked to learn that the city had put up a mural honoring one of our trailblazers, who we definitely respect. And I wanted him to know that I wasn't aware, and so my absence was not because I didn't want to attend. I didn't know what was happening. So, Ms. Jessie, as we move forward with that project, and I know it's part of Microsoft, there's a lot of opportunity to make sure that this council has information about what's happening. It was extremely disappointing to be in a neighborhood meeting and learn at that meeting who was honored through that mural. So we have 1 real estate, 2 personnel, and 1 litigation. Any motion to recess? It's been moved and properly seconded that we recess into executive session for 1 real estate, 2 personnel, and 1 litigation. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. We can. Motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. In the matter of Osborne versus City of East Point, need a motion to proceed as discussed in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve executive session meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Good night, East Pointers.